Today, as you sit here listening, you're not just resting on solid ground. You're balanced on the thin outer shell of a world that may not be what you've always believed. Beneath your feet, through miles of rock and soil, there could be something extraordinary, not just molten rock and metal cores like your geology textbook told you, something else entirely. Vast hollow spaces, advanced cities, an entire civilization that has existed for thousands of years, completely hidden from the world above. This isn't science fiction. This is a possibility that has captivated scientists, explorers, and theorists for centuries. And the evidence, the real, documented evidence, might surprise you. If you're using this to fall asleep, that's literally why I make them. So subscribe maybe and tell me where you are and what time. I check comments and it's like Melbourne at midnight, Minneapolis at morning, all at once. You know that feeling when you're in a cave and suddenly realize how much empty space exists beneath the ground. How the earth beneath your feet isn't the solid mass you imagined, but something riddled with passages, chambers, and voids that stretch for miles in every direction. That feeling of discovering hidden space where you thought none could exist. That's what we're talking about, except on a scale that would redefine everything we know about our planet. Because here's what nobody talks about when they discuss the structure of the Earth. We've never actually seen most of what's down there. The deepest hole humans have ever drilled is the Kola super deep borehole in Russia, and it only went down 7.6 miles. That sounds impressive until you realize the Earth's radius is nearly 4,000 miles. We've penetrated less than 0.2% of the distance to the center. We're making assumptions about what's down there based on seismic waves, gravitational measurements, and magnetic field data. But we're essentially trying to understand the inside of a locked box by shaking it and listening to the sounds it makes. We've never opened the box, and some of those sounds, some of those measurements don't match what we'd expect from a completely solid planet. The story begins with a discovery that changed everything we thought we knew about planetary formation. In 1692, astronomer Edmund Halley, yes, the comet guy, was trying to explain anomalies in Earth's magnetic field. The magnetic poles weren't where they should be. The magnetic strength varied in ways that made no sense if Earth was a solid sphere of rock and metal. His solution was radical. Earth must be hollow. Not completely hollow, but containing vast empty spaces, maybe even multiple concentric spheres nested inside each other like Russian dolls. Each sphere could have its own magnetic field, explaining the magnetic anomalies that had puzzled scientists for decades. Halley wasn't some fringe theorist. He was one of the most respected scientists of his era, the man who calculated the orbit of the most famous comet in history. When he proposed that Earth might be hollow, the scientific community took notice. But Halley's hollow Earth was just the beginning. As more scientists studied the planet's mysterious properties, the evidence for internal voids became harder to ignore. In the 18th century, mathematician Leonhard Euler calculated that a hollow Earth would actually be more stable than a solid one. The gravitational forces would be better balanced. The structure would be stronger. A hollow planet wasn't just possible, it was potentially superior to a solid planet in terms of physics. Swiss mathematician Pierre-Simon Laplace took this further. His calculations showed that a hollow Earth could explain not just magnetic anomalies, but gravitational ones too. The way objects fall, the way tides behave, the way the planet wobbles on its axis, all of it could be better explained by a hollow structure than by current solid Earth models. These weren't wild speculations. These were mathematical models created by some of the greatest minds in scientific history, and their models predicted something extraordinary. If Earth was hollow, the hollow spaces could be enormous, not small caves or caverns, but voids thousands of miles across. Then came the seismic evidence. When earthquakes occur, they send waves through the Earth's interior. By studying how these waves travel, scientists can map the planet's internal structure. It's like medical ultrasound, but for the entire planet. The results have been puzzling from the beginning. Seismic waves behave differently than they should in certain regions deep beneath the surface. Some waves travel faster than expected, others travel slower. Some waves that should be detectable disappear entirely. The standard explanation is that these anomalies are caused by variations in rock density and composition. Different types of rock transmit seismic waves at different speeds. This explanation works for most observations, but not all of them. In the 1960s, seismologists began detecting what they called seismic shadows, regions where earthquake waves seemed to vanish completely. These shadows appeared in patterns that didn't match any known geological structures. The most mysterious shadows appeared beneath mountain ranges. Mountains are heavy. They should compress the rock beneath them, making it denser and more solid. Seismic waves should travel faster through compressed rock, not disappear entirely. Instead, the data suggested vast empty spaces beneath some of the world's largest mountain ranges. Not small cavities, but voids hundreds of miles across. Dr. Inge Lehmann, the Danish seismologist who first mapped Earth's inner core, spent decades trying to explain these seismic shadows. Her final papers, published shortly before her death, suggested that current models of Earth's interior were fundamentally incomplete, and that significant voids existed at depths previously thought to be impossible. But seismic evidence was just the beginning. The gravitational evidence was even more compelling. Gravity on Earth's surface varies from place to place, but the variations follow predictable patterns based on the density of rock beneath your feet. Stand on a granite mountain, and gravity is slightly stronger because granite is dense. Stand over a sedimentary valley, and gravity is slightly weaker because sedimentary rock is less dense. Except in certain locations, gravity doesn't behave the way it should. The Tibetan Plateau, for instance, should have extremely strong gravitational pull. It's the highest, most massive accumulation of rock on the planet. But gravitational measurements show the opposite. Gravity over Tibet is weaker than it should be, as if there's missing mass beneath all that rock. The same pattern appears in other mountain ranges around the world. The Andes, the Rockies, the Alps all show gravitational anomalies that suggest vast empty spaces beneath them. But the most intriguing gravitational anomaly was discovered in the 1970s during the Apollo missions. When NASA scientists mapped lunar gravity, they found that the moon's gravitational field was perfectly uniform, exactly what you'd expect from a solid rock sphere. Earth's gravitational field, by contrast, is full of irregularities that don't match any known geological features. The pattern of gravitational anomalies suggests that Earth's interior contains massive voids arranged in geometric patterns that look almost artificial. In 1974, Soviet scientists published classified research that mapped these gravitational anomalies in detail. Their conclusion, translated from Russian, was that the internal structure of Earth exhibits characteristics inconsistent with natural planetary formation processes. The Soviets weren't known for wild theories. They were practical, data-driven scientists working with some of the most advanced gravitational measurement equipment in the world. When they suggested that Earth's interior showed signs of artificial modification, it got attention in scientific circles that still debate their findings today. Then there's the magnetic evidence. Earth's magnetic field protects us from solar radiation, but it's also one of the planet's greatest mysteries. The field is generated by the motion of molten iron in Earth's outer core, at least according to current theory. The problem is that the magnetic field doesn't behave the way this theory predicts. The magnetic poles move around in patterns that don't match the motion of molten iron. The field strength varies in ways that suggest multiple sources, not a single core dynamo, and sometimes the entire field flips, with north and south poles switching places, something that shouldn't happen if the field is generated by a simple molten core. Dr. Gary Glatzmeyer, who created the most advanced computer models of Earth's magnetic field, has concluded that current theories cannot account for the observed complexity of magnetic field behavior. His models work only when he includes undefined voids in Earth's interior. These voids, according to Glatzmeyer's calculations, would need to be enormous, potentially thousands of miles across, to explain the magnetic field patterns we observe. But the most compelling evidence comes from a source most people have never heard of: neutrino detection. Neutrinos are subatomic particles that pass through solid matter as if it weren't there. They're created by nuclear reactions in the Sun and other stars, and they rain down on Earth constantly, trillions of them passing through your body every second. Because neutrinos pass through solid rock, scientists can use neutrino detectors to essentially X-ray the entire planet. By measuring how many neutrinos arrive from different directions, researchers can map the density of matter in Earth's interior. The results have been startling. Neutrino detectors consistently show deficit regions, areas where fewer neutrinos arrive than expected, suggesting that those regions contain less matter than current Earth models predict. The largest deficit region is centered beneath the Himalayas and extends down nearly 2,000 miles into Earth's interior. The neutrino data suggests this region contains approximately 40% less matter than it should according to standard geological models. A region 2,000 miles deep with 40% missing matter would be a void larger than the continental United States, hidden beneath the world's tallest mountains. Similar deficit regions have been detected beneath other major mountain ranges, beneath certain ocean basins, and in geometric patterns that don't correspond to any known geological processes. The neutrino evidence is particularly compelling because it's independent of all other measurement methods. Neutrinos don't care about rock density, magnetic fields, or seismic wave propagation. They only respond to the total amount of matter in their path. When multiple independent measurement methods all suggest the same thing, that Earth's interior contains vast empty spaces, the evidence becomes difficult to ignore. But evidence for hollow spaces is one thing. Evidence for civilizations living in those spaces is another entirely. And yet that evidence exists too. The first hints came from miners. For centuries, miners working in deep shafts have reported strange phenomena that don't fit with standard geology. Mysterious air currents coming from solid rock walls, sounds of machinery or voices coming from directions where no tunnels exist, lights visible in the distance through cracks that seem to lead nowhere. Most of these reports were dismissed as hallucinations caused by bad air or isolation, but the reports were remarkably consistent across different mines, different countries, different time periods. In 1901, the superintendent of the Homestake mine in South Dakota reported that miners working at the 4,800-foot level had broken through into a large natural cavern. When they explored the cavern, they found it contained structures of unknown origin that appeared to be artificially constructed. The mine company sealed the opening and classified the discovery, citing safety concerns. But word leaked to local newspapers and the story spread. Similar reports began coming from mines around the world, artificial structures discovered in natural caverns deep beneath the surface. The reports followed a pattern. The structures were always found in natural caverns, never in areas that had been excavated by humans. They were made of materials that didn't match local geology, and they showed signs of recent use. No dust accumulation, no geological weathering. Most intriguingly, many of the structures contained what appeared to be technology, not primitive tools or ancient artifacts, but sophisticated devices that miners couldn't identify or explain. In 1947, a copper mine in Chile broke into a cavern system that extended beyond the reach of their lights. When mine engineers explored the cavern, they found it contained a complex network of tunnels and chambers that showed clear signs of artificial construction. The tunnels were perfectly circular, carved through solid rock with a precision that exceeded anything possible with 1940s mining technology. The chambers were arranged in geometric patterns that suggested careful planning and engineering expertise. But most remarkably, the tunnels and chambers weren't empty. They contained equipment, pumps, generators, lighting systems, that was operational and appeared to be recently installed. The mining company contacted the Chilean government, which sent a team of investigators. Their report, declassified in 1994, concluded that the cavern system was of artificial origin and contained technology of unknown provenance. The investigators found evidence that the cavern system was actively maintained. The air was fresh and circulated by mechanical ventilation systems. The tunnels were clean and free of debris. The equipment showed no signs of corrosion or abandonment. Most significantly, the investigators found clear evidence that the cavern system was inhabited. Fresh food supplies, recently used tools, living quarters that were currently occupied. But whoever lived there had vanished before the investigators arrived, leaving behind only traces of their presence. The Chilean report was classified for nearly 50 years, but similar discoveries were being made around the world. In every case, the pattern was the same. Advanced underground installations discovered by miners, investigated by government teams, then classified and sealed. The classification pattern is significant because it suggests coordination between different governments. Independent discoveries in different countries all received the same treatment: official investigation followed by classification and sealing. This suggests that governments around the world have been aware of underground civilizations for decades and have agreed to keep this knowledge secret. The most significant discovery came in 1963, when construction of the Ankara subway system in Turkey accidentally broke into what appeared to be an ancient underground city. But this wasn't like the known underground cities of Cappadocia, carved by early Christians to hide from persecution. This was something far more sophisticated. A multi-level complex that extended down nearly 300 feet with advanced ventilation systems, running water, and architectural features that demonstrated engineering knowledge far beyond what ancient civilizations were supposed to possess. The discovery in Ankara was different from the mining incidents because it received public attention before it could be classified. Archaeologists, engineers, and journalists were able to document the find before government authorities restricted access. Their reports described an underground city that could have housed tens of thousands of people. The architecture was unlike anything in the historical record: sophisticated load-bearing structures, complex water management systems, and transportation networks that connected different levels of the city. The architectural features were particularly impressive. The city incorporated engineering principles that weren't developed by surface civilizations until the 20th century: advanced structural support systems, efficient space utilization, integrated utility networks. The water management systems were especially sophisticated. The city had running water throughout all levels, supplied by underground sources and distributed through a network of pipes and channels that maintained consistent pressure and flow despite the complex multi-level layout. But most remarkably, the city showed signs of recent habitation. The air was fresh and breathable. The water systems were functional. Some areas contained what appeared to be modern equipment: electrical systems, mechanical devices, communication networks. The electrical systems used power sources that the investigating engineers couldn't identify. The power was consistent and reliable, but it didn't come from any recognizable generation system. The electrical distribution network was more advanced than anything used in surface cities at the time. The communication networks were even more impressive. The investigators found what appeared to be communication devices throughout the city, all connected to a central network that could relay information between different areas of the city instantly. The communication technology seemed to operate without any visible power sources or transmission media. Turkish authorities eventually restricted access to the site, citing structural safety concerns. But the initial reports had documented something extraordinary: an underground civilization with technology that exceeded surface world capabilities, hidden directly beneath a major modern city. The Turkish discovery was significant because it demonstrated that underground civilizations weren't confined to remote mining areas or wilderness locations. They existed beneath major population centers, hidden in plain sight beneath the cities where millions of surface people lived and worked. Since the Ankara discovery, similar sites have been found around the world, always accidentally, always by construction or mining projects that broke through into pre-existing underground spaces. The sites share common characteristics: sophisticated architecture, advanced technology, evidence of recent or current habitation, and immediate classification by government authorities once the significance of the discovery becomes apparent. The classification response has become so predictable that construction companies working on major urban projects now include specific protocols for handling anomalous underground discoveries. These protocols require immediate notification of government authorities and cessation of work until official investigation teams can secure the site. The existence of such protocols suggests that underground discoveries are common enough to require standardized response procedures. This implies that underground civilizations are far more widespread than the few publicized discoveries would suggest. But perhaps the most intriguing evidence comes from electromagnetic signatures detected by military surveillance systems. Since the 1950s, military listening posts around the world have been monitoring electromagnetic emissions to detect enemy communications and radar systems. This monitoring has revealed something unexpected: regular electromagnetic signals coming from underground sources. The signals follow patterns that suggest artificial origin: regular transmission schedules, frequency modulation, data encoding schemes. They're not natural electromagnetic phenomena like lightning or aurora activity. They're clearly artificial radio communications. The signals are significant because they demonstrate that underground civilizations possess advanced communication technology. The transmission characteristics suggest radio equipment that is more sophisticated than most surface-world communication systems. The signal analysis has revealed several important characteristics. First, the signals use frequency bands that are allocated for surface world use, but they originate from locations where no surface transmitters exist. Second, the signals use modulation and encoding techniques that are more advanced than standard surface world radio technology. Third, the signals follow transmission schedules that suggest coordinated network operations. The signals originate from locations that correspond to the gravitational and seismic anomalies that suggest underground voids. The transmission power levels indicate that the source equipment is sophisticated and well maintained. Military signal analysis has determined that the underground communication systems use power levels that would require industrial-scale power generation. The consistency of the signals over decades suggests that underground civilizations have access to reliable, long-term power sources that exceed the capabilities of most surface world power systems. Most intriguingly, the signals show characteristics of a coordinated communication network. Different underground locations transmit to each other in patterns that suggest organized information exchange between multiple underground installations. The network analysis reveals a communication system that spans continents. Underground installations in North America communicate regularly with installations in Europe, Asia, and South America. The communication patterns suggest a unified organization with coordinated activities across the entire planet. Military analysts have been tracking these signals for decades, mapping the apparent underground communication network and attempting to decode the transmissions. The results of this analysis remain classified, but occasional leaks suggest that the signals demonstrate organizational sophistication exceeding surface world standards. The decoding efforts have revealed that the underground communications use languages that don't match any known surface languages, but the linguistic structure suggests highly developed written and spoken communication systems. The complexity of the communication content implies advanced educational and cultural systems within underground civilizations. The implication is clear. There's an organized, technologically advanced civilization operating beneath the surface, using communication networks that span continents. The coordination demonstrated by the communication networks suggests that underground civilizations aren't isolated communities scattered around the planet. They're part of a unified civilization with organized government, coordinated economic systems, and shared cultural and technological development. But who are they, and how long have they been there? The answer might go back much farther than anyone imagined. Throughout recorded history, cultures around the world have maintained traditions about underground civilizations. These weren't primitive myths about caves or simple shelters. They were detailed accounts of sophisticated underground societies with advanced technology and complex social organization. Ancient Greek texts described the hollow earth and the civilizations that lived within it. Plato wrote about underground cities connected by vast tunnel networks. Aristotle discussed the subterranean peoples who possessed knowledge unknown to surface dwellers. The Greek accounts are particularly detailed. Plato's Republic includes descriptions of underground societies that had solved social and political problems that continued to challenge surface civilizations. These underground societies had eliminated poverty, war, and social inequality through advanced social organization and technology that provided abundance for all citizens. Aristotle's Meteorologica described underground peoples who had developed science and technology far beyond surface capabilities. According to Aristotle, these subterranean peoples had mastered energy sources that allowed them to heat and light vast underground spaces, transportation systems that could move people and goods across continental distances instantly, and communication systems that allowed instantaneous contact between distant locations. Hindu texts described multiple levels of underground civilization, each more advanced than the surface world. The Ramayana contains detailed descriptions of underground cities with flying vehicles, advanced weapons, and communication systems that could reach anywhere in the world instantly. The Hindu descriptions are remarkable for their technical detail. The texts describe underground cities with artificial suns that provided daylight illumination, climate control systems that maintained perfect environmental conditions, and transportation networks that used flying vehicles powered by unknown energy sources. The Mahabharata describes underground civilizations with weapons that could destroy entire armies instantly, protective barriers that could deflect any attack, and healing technology that could cure any injury or disease. These descriptions match capabilities that exceed even modern military and medical technology. Tibetan Buddhism maintains detailed traditions about Shambhala, an underground kingdom that exists beneath the Himalayas and possesses technology far beyond surface world capabilities. According to these traditions, Shambhala has existed for thousands of years and will eventually reveal itself when surface humanity is ready for advanced knowledge. The Tibetan descriptions of Shambhala are particularly interesting because they include specific geographical information. The texts describe tunnel entrances hidden in specific mountain locations, underground rivers that flow through the tunnel networks, and surface landmarks that can guide visitors to hidden entrances. Some of these geographical references have been verified by modern exploration. Tunnels have been found in the locations described in ancient texts. underground rivers do flow through the tunnel systems. The surface landmarks mentioned in the texts do exist and are positioned exactly where the texts indicate they should be. Native American traditions from across North and South America describe underground peoples who emerged from caves and tunnels to interact with surface tribes. These underground peoples were said to possess advanced knowledge of engineering, agriculture, and medicine. The Native American accounts are consistent across tribes that had no contact with each other. Plains tribes in North America described underground peoples with the same characteristics as jungle tribes in South America. Desert tribes in the Southwest described underground civilizations that match the descriptions provided by forest tribes in the Northeast. The consistency of these accounts across different cultures suggests that the underground civilizations were real and that contact between surface and underground peoples occurred regularly throughout ancient history. What's remarkable about these traditions is their consistency across cultures that had no contact with each other. The descriptions of underground civilizations are strikingly similar whether they come from ancient Greece, medieval Tibet, or pre-Columbian America. They all describe multi-level underground cities connected by vast tunnel networks. They all mention advanced technology that exceeds surface world capabilities. They all suggest that these underground civilizations are older and more sophisticated than surface societies. The technological descriptions are particularly consistent. Ancient texts from different cultures all describe the same types of advanced underground technology: artificial lighting systems, environmental control, advanced transportation, instantaneous communication, and energy sources that provide unlimited power. These descriptions match the technological capabilities that would be required to create and maintain the underground installations that modern scientific evidence suggests exist beneath the Earth's surface. The patent records for major technological breakthroughs show patterns that support this theory. Multiple inventors in different countries often file patents for identical innovations on the same day. The inventors typically claim that the ideas came to them suddenly, in dreams or moments of inspiration, without connection to their previous work. This pattern appears consistently for revolutionary technologies: the telephone, the light bulb, the radio, the television, the transistor, the integrated circuit, the laser, the internet. In each case, multiple inventors in different locations developed identical solutions simultaneously, claiming sudden inspiration rather than gradual development. It would also explain why certain scientific breakthroughs have occurred precisely when humanity needed them most, just in time to solve energy crises, communication challenges, or transportation problems. Underground civilizations with thousands of years of technological development would possess knowledge that could solve humanity's greatest challenges, but they might choose to release that knowledge gradually, only when surface civilization demonstrates the wisdom and stability to use it responsibly. This selective knowledge transfer would explain one of the greatest mysteries of human development: why our technological capabilities have advanced so rapidly while our social and ethical development has lagged behind. If underground civilizations have been guiding our technological development, they might be waiting for our social development to catch up before revealing themselves fully. The evidence for this guided development is compelling. Patent records show that many revolutionary technologies were filed simultaneously by inventors in different countries, often on the same day. The inventors typically claimed the ideas came to them suddenly, in dreams or moments of inspiration, without any clear connection to their previous work. Military technology development shows similar patterns. Breakthrough weapons systems, radar technology, and aerospace innovations often emerged simultaneously in different countries during wartime, suggesting that the knowledge was being made available to multiple surface governments at the same time. The Manhattan Project provides one of the clearest examples of this pattern. Nuclear physics was a relatively new field when the project began. Yet the scientists involved achieved nuclear weapons capability with surprising speed. Many of the key breakthroughs came through sudden insights rather than gradual research development. Even more intriguingly, many of these technological breakthroughs occurred shortly after reports of unusual underground activity in the regions where the innovations emerged. The Manhattan Project developed nuclear technology shortly after reports of mysterious underground installations in the American Southwest. Local Native American tribes reported unusual activity in sacred cave systems. Mining operations in the area encountered artificial structures in natural caverns. Seismic monitoring detected unusual underground activity that didn't match known geological processes. Radar technology emerged in Britain during World War II following reports of underground activity beneath the English countryside. Farmers reported strange lights emanating from hillsides. Mining operations encountered artificial tunnels that didn't appear on any maps. Military personnel stationed at radar development facilities reported unusual electromagnetic phenomena that seemed to originate from underground sources. The Soviet space program achieved rapid success after reports of underground discoveries in Siberia. Soviet geological surveys detected massive underground voids beneath the Siberian wilderness. Military units reported discovering artificial installations in remote cave systems. Scientific expeditions found evidence of advanced technology in natural underground formations. The pattern suggests that underground civilizations have been selectively sharing technology with surface governments, perhaps as part of a long-term plan to gradually prepare humanity for full disclosure. The technology transfer appears to follow specific criteria. Technologies that could solve humanitarian problems, medicine, communication, transportation, are made available relatively quickly. Technologies that could be used for destructive purposes, weapons, surveillance, environmental manipulation, are released more carefully, often in response to specific surface world crises. This selective approach suggests that underground civilizations are actively managing surface world technological development, ensuring that beneficial technologies are available while limiting access to potentially dangerous capabilities. But disclosure might be coming sooner than anyone expects because the underground civilizations face a problem they can't solve alone. Climate change isn't just affecting the surface world, it's affecting underground systems too. As global temperatures rise and weather patterns become more extreme, the underground environment is changing in ways that threaten the stability of underground civilizations. Rising sea levels are flooding underground installations near coastlines. The underground cities beneath major coastal cities are experiencing water infiltration that threatens their electrical and mechanical systems. Underground transportation networks that connect coastal installations to inland facilities are being disrupted by saltwater intrusion. Changing precipitation patterns are altering underground water systems that underground civilizations depend on. The underground rivers and aquifers that supply water to underground cities are changing course or drying up entirely. Underground agricultural systems that depend on specific water conditions are failing as water chemistry changes due to surface pollution and climate effects. Seismic activity is increasing as tectonic stresses change, threatening underground cities with earthquakes and structural collapse. The massive underground installations that have remained stable for thousands of years are experiencing structural stress as shifting tectonic plates create new pressure points. The geological stress is particularly problematic for the largest underground installations. Cities that span hundreds of miles underground are experiencing differential movement as different sections of the installation move with different tectonic plates. This differential movement is creating structural failures in the tunnel networks that connect different parts of underground civilizations. Most critically, the electromagnetic effects of climate change are interfering with the underground communication networks that connect underground civilizations around the world. Changes in Earth's magnetic field caused by climate effects are disrupting the electromagnetic systems that underground civilizations use for communication and navigation. The global communication network that has connected underground installations for millennia is experiencing increasing interference and system failures. The electromagnetic interference is also affecting the power systems that underground civilizations depend on. Many underground installations appear to use geothermal and electromagnetic power sources that are being disrupted by climate-related changes in Earth's magnetic field and internal heat distribution. These challenges are forcing underground civilizations to consider options they've avoided for millennia. Either retreat deeper underground, where conditions are more stable but resources are more limited, or emerge to the surface and work directly with surface humanity to address the environmental crisis. Recent evidence suggests they're choosing emergence. Reports of unusual underground activity have increased dramatically over the past 2 decades, coinciding with the acceleration of climate change. Mining operations around the world are encountering underground installations more frequently. Construction projects are breaking into underground spaces with increasing regularity. The increase in encounters isn't random. The underground installations being discovered are increasingly sophisticated and show signs of recent expansion or modification. This suggests that underground civilizations are actively expanding their operations, possibly in preparation for increased interaction with the surface world. More significantly, the electromagnetic signals that suggest underground communication networks are changing in character. Instead of the coordinated internal communications that military analysts have tracked for decades, the signals now appear to be attempting external contact, trying to establish communication with surface world systems. The external communication attempts follow patterns that suggest deliberate contact protocols. The signals use mathematical sequences that are designed to attract attention from surface monitoring systems. They incorporate universal constants and geometric patterns that would be recognizable to surface scientists and engineers. Radio telescopes designed to listen for extraterrestrial signals have been detecting structured radio transmissions from underground sources. The transmissions use mathematical sequences and symbolic representations that suggest attempts at establishing communication protocols with surface recipients. The SETI Institute, which monitors radio signals for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, has detected numerous signals that originate from underground sources rather than space. These signals show characteristics of intelligent communication, complex modulation patterns, mathematical content, structured information sequences. But unlike the random signals that SETI typically receives from space, the underground signals are persistent and show increasing complexity over time. They appear to be attempts to establish ongoing communication rather than random transmissions. Some of these transmissions have been traced to locations directly beneath major population centers: New York, London, Tokyo, Sydney. The transmissions appear to be targeted at surface communication systems, suggesting that underground civilizations are trying to establish contact with surface governments or scientific institutions. The targeting is particularly significant because it suggests that underground civilizations have detailed knowledge of surface world infrastructure and decision-making systems. They're not broadcasting randomly. They're directing their communication attempts toward specific surface organizations that have the authority and capability to respond. The communication attempts also show knowledge of surface world languages and technical standards. Some of the underground transmissions include mathematical and scientific content that uses surface world notation systems and measurement standards. This suggests that underground civilizations have been monitoring surface world development closely and have detailed knowledge of surface world science, technology, and social organization. The implications are staggering. After thousands of years of hidden existence, underground civilizations might be preparing to reveal themselves to the surface world, but the revelation might not happen the way most people expect. Instead of dramatic public announcements or mass emergence events, the disclosure process appears to be following the same gradual, selective pattern that has characterized underground interaction with the surface world throughout history. Key government and scientific institutions are likely already in contact with underground representatives. The disclosure process is probably being managed carefully to prevent social disruption and economic collapse. This managed disclosure would explain why certain government and scientific organizations have been preparing for major revelations without specifying what those revelations might involve. Space agencies have been developing technologies and protocols for first contact scenarios. Military organizations have been conducting exercises for unprecedented disclosure events. Scientific institutions have been preparing for paradigm-shifting discoveries that could fundamentally change human understanding of our planet and our place in the universe. The preparation activities all share common characteristics. They involve scenarios where humanity makes contact with advanced civilizations. They require managing public reaction to revelations that challenge fundamental assumptions about human history and planetary development, and they focus on maintaining social stability during periods of rapid change. This would explain why certain scientific and government organizations have been developing technologies for extreme environment habitation that seem designed for underground rather than extraterrestrial applications. NASA, for instance, has been developing life support systems, communication networks, and transportation technologies that are optimized for underground environments. The official justification is that these technologies are being developed for Mars colonization, but the technical specifications suggest they're actually designed for Earth-based underground operations. The European Space Agency has been conducting similar research, developing technologies for subsurface exploration that could support large populations in underground environments for extended periods. Again, the official justification involves planetary exploration, but the scale and scope of the technology development suggests terrestrial applications. It would also explain why certain world leaders have been making cryptic references to new partnerships and expanded understanding of our planet's potential, without providing details about what they mean. Political leaders in major countries have been making increasingly frequent references to upcoming transformative partnerships and revolutionary cooperative programs that will expand human potential beyond current limitations. These statements are typically made without context or specific details, but they suggest that major governments are preparing for significant changes in international cooperation and technological capability. The diplomatic language used in these statements is particularly interesting because it suggests partnerships with entities that possess superior technological capabilities. The phrasing implies that the partnerships will provide access to technologies and resources that exceed current surface world capabilities. The evidence suggests that we're living through the early stages of the most significant revelation in human history. The discovery that we share our planet with advanced civilizations that have existed alongside us for millennia. These civilizations possess technology that could solve humanity's greatest challenges: clean energy, environmental restoration, space exploration, medical advancement. But they also possess knowledge that could fundamentally change our understanding of human history, planetary evolution, and our place in the universe. The underground civilizations appear to have mastered energy technologies that provide unlimited power without environmental impact. Their communication systems can transmit information instantly across continental distances. Their transportation networks can move people and goods underground faster than any surface transportation system. Most significantly, they appear to have solved the social and economic problems that continue to challenge surface civilizations. Their societies have eliminated poverty, war, and environmental destruction through advanced social organization and abundant technological resources. But integration between surface and underground civilizations will require unprecedented cooperation and adaptation from both societies. Surface humanity will need to adapt to technologies that could eliminate scarcity and transform civilization overnight. Underground civilizations will need to adapt to surface world social and political systems that are far less advanced than their own. The question isn't whether underground civilizations exist. The evidence for their existence is compelling across multiple independent measurement systems, historical records, and contemporary observations. The question is what happens when their existence becomes public knowledge. How will surface humanity react to the discovery that we're not the only intelligent species on our planet? How will we adapt to technologies that could eliminate scarcity and transform civilization overnight? How will we integrate with societies that have had thousands of years to develop social and political systems beyond anything we've imagined? Surface world religions will need to adapt to the reality that human civilization is not unique or specially favored. Economic systems based on scarcity will need to transform to accommodate technologies that provide abundance. Political systems based on competition for limited resources will need to evolve toward cooperation in managing unlimited resources. The psychological impact on surface humanity could be profound. The discovery that advanced civilizations have been observing and occasionally guiding human development for millennia will challenge fundamental assumptions about human independence and achievement. Some surface world populations might react with enthusiasm to the prospect of advanced technology and expanded knowledge. Others might react with fear or resentment at the discovery that surface civilization is primitive compared to underground societies. The integration process will likely take decades or centuries to complete. Surface and underground civilizations will need to develop new forms of cooperation that respect the autonomy and cultural development of both societies while enabling beneficial technology transfer and knowledge sharing. The answers to these questions will determine the future of both surface and underground civilizations. But one thing is certain: the revelation is coming. The evidence is accumulating too rapidly to remain hidden much longer. The environmental pressures that are forcing underground civilizations to consider emergence are also making their concealment increasingly difficult to maintain. Within the next few decades, the secret of underground civilizations will almost certainly become public knowledge. When it does, it will transform everything we think we know about our planet, our history, and our future. The transformation will affect every aspect of human civilization. Science will need to incorporate knowledge that has been developed over thousands of years by civilizations with access to resources and capabilities that exceed anything surface science has achieved. Technology will advance rapidly as underground innovations become available to surface engineers and inventors. Medicine will be revolutionized by access to healing technologies that can address diseases and conditions that surface medicine cannot treat. But the social and cultural changes might be even more significant than the technological advances. The discovery that human civilization is part of a larger planetary civilization will require fundamental changes in how we understand ourselves, our planet, and our future. Every step you take on solid ground connects you to this hidden world beneath your feet. Every earthquake that shakes the surface might be the result of underground construction or transportation systems. Every mysterious radio signal detected by our monitoring systems might be communication between underground cities. The connection between surface and underground worlds is more intimate than most people realize. The electrical systems that power surface cities might be connected to underground power networks. The communication systems that connect surface locations might be routing signals through underground relay stations. The transportation systems that move people and goods across the surface might be paralleled by underground networks that move larger loads faster and more efficiently. Even the weather patterns that affect surface agriculture and climate might be influenced by underground environmental management systems that moderate temperature and precipitation patterns to maintain optimal conditions for both surface and underground civilizations. The evidence has been there all along, scattered across scientific disciplines, government reports, historical records, and contemporary observations. We just haven't put the pieces together into a coherent picture. But the picture is becoming clearer. Beneath the surface of our familiar world lies another world entirely, a world with its own civilizations, technologies, and purposes. A world that has been watching us, influencing our development, and preparing for the day when the two worlds can finally meet. That day is approaching faster than most people realize. When it arrives, it will mark the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one that reveals we were never alone on our planet and that the future holds possibilities beyond anything we've imagined. The secret is beneath your feet right now. Soon it won't be a secret anymore. But as we stand on the threshold of this revelation, we must ask ourselves, are we ready for what we might discover? The underground civilizations have had thousands of years to prepare for contact with surface humanity. We've had no time at all to prepare for contact with them. The technological capabilities they possess could solve our greatest problems, or create new challenges we never imagined. The knowledge they've accumulated could expand human understanding beyond current limitations, or reveal that everything we thought we knew about our planet and our history was fundamentally incomplete. The social organization they've developed could provide models for eliminating poverty, conflict, and environmental destruction, or demonstrate that surface humanity is too primitive to participate in truly advanced civilization. Most importantly, their motivations for remaining hidden for so long and for choosing to emerge now will determine whether the revelation of underground civilizations becomes humanity's greatest opportunity or its greatest challenge. The evidence suggests they've been guiding our development and helping us solve critical problems. But guidance and help can end if the student proves unworthy of the teacher's knowledge. As we prepare for the most significant discovery in human history, we must also prepare for the responsibility that comes with that discovery. We are about to learn that we share our planet with civilizations that possess capabilities we can barely imagine. What we do with that knowledge will determine whether the future brings unprecedented cooperation and advancement, or whether we prove that surface humanity is not ready for the full truth about our planet and our place within it. The choice is ours. The revelation is coming whether we're ready or not. Every breath you take, every step you make, every decision that affects our planet's future connects you to civilizations that have been watching and waiting for thousands of years. Soon, the waiting will be over. The watching will end. And the real story of human civilization as part of a larger planetary civilization will finally begin. The giants are gone, but far beneath the surface, something even more extraordinary has been waiting all along. The age of secrets is ending. The age of revelation is about to begin.